Hi everyone, welcome to Revit. So this is just an introductory lecture for the functions of Revit and how the software is used. So don't be too alarmed if it goes a bit quick or you're unsure about some things. As we start to model, these will start to fall into place a bit better. So this is what Revit looks like. I'm using the 2020 version to start off with. You guys might be using the 2021, but it's the same setup. There might be some differences to it, and that's okay. So in the models, you've got the last ones that you've opened or used. What we're going to be dealing with here are models. Families, these are the families of the doors or windows. They're preloaded files where you can open or create new ones. You will look at this more in your structural drafting course. I will teach you how to create new families. For now, we're just going to use what's preloaded in Revit anyway, and just make some alterations to them. So to start off with, models, we go new. We're not opening an old one, so we go new. These are our template files. So construction template, architecture template, structural template, and mechanical. Alright, to start off with, we're using an architectural one. After that, we'll move into a structural template. Now these templates are pre-made for Revit. You can recreate them. I don't recommend it, just use what is given to you. For those that have installed it on their computers at home, you may have imperial and metric template folders there. Please use the metric ones. Alright, so architectural, I'm creating a new project, not a project template. So pick a template I want to use. I'm creating a new project. Go OK, and this is what Revit looks like. So to start off with, I end up on a ground floor. Alright, these markers here are my elevations, so north, east, south and west elevations, and I have a section view sitting through here. Looking at the tabs up above, alright, I have walls, doors, windows, different components. This is the architecture tab. Alright, so everything I model in here is architectural. We will use, obviously in our first practical, everything through here, or majority of things through here. Structure, everything that you would determine to be structural. Columns, beams, connections, slabs, reinforcement, those kinds of things are all in here. So we'll look at this when we do our structural practical or our structural drawings, looking at practical 3 and all of structural drafting. Steel, alright, welds, bolts, connections, customized connections, things like that is all in here. Our systems you will use in building services drafting, so we won't use any of this here, but what this is putting in your air conditioning ducts and your pipe work through a building. Insert tab we will use a fair bit of. Alright, so pulling in, we can link a Revit model, we can link IFC. So IFC is our industry foundation class file, and it's just a universal file that's not really owned by anybody, and this allows us to export and import into different softwares, even ones that might not get along. Think of Windows and Mac. It allows us to pull from a Windows and input into a Mac. Alright, similarly to that. So what we would do is we would do a drawing in CAD, we'd bring it into Revit, we would do the model in Revit, so we're modeling here. We then might want to do an analysis on that model. We would then export to IFC. We would import that IFC file into Strand 7 space gas robostructure, and we would then perform the analysis on the model in that software. But what we're going to use is we'll use link IFC, link Revit, link topography, link CAD or import CAD. They're the main ones that we'll be using. Alright, we're also going to use load family a lot. This is where we load in doors, windows, columns, beams, anything that's not preloaded into Revit. This will make sense as we do it. Annotate, alright, again, these annotations is our measurements, our text, our notes, things like that. Alright, any of our details, they will come in here. Analyze, so Revit is able to do analysis on a model. The structural analysis component isn't the best. This is mainly used for the MEP, alright, the building services for your lights, plumbing, and HVAC, so your air conditioning ducts. Massing and site we'll use when we look at our civil component, doing our cut and fill levels. Alright, it is looking at like our site drainage, and basically modeling on topography here. Collaborate we do a little bit of, not too much of. We look at more so in between our architectural and structural models. So we link in a architectural model into a structural model. We'll then copy monitor levels, and what this does is this allows us to pretty much have everybody working on the same file at once and see any alterations that are made to it. So I make a change on my computer, it will notify you on yours when you open that model up. View, this is changing our visibility graphics, view templates, things like that. Again, these will all make sense as we model in Revit, okay? Things to look at here is this is where we can find our 3D view. You can also grab it from the house above. And more importantly, our user interface here. If I lose anything, I come back to View, User Interface, and I select what I want back on here. So here I have a Properties and Project Browser, which you need to have sitting here. So if I accidentally close one of them, alright, if one's closed, all I do is I come back here and turn it back on for it to reappear. And that will happen. Just be aware, this is where you find it. You can come through, change so you can see 4 drawings at once and whatever else, but we'll worry about that later. Manage, this is changing materials, changing units, coordinates and things like that. Managing what's linked into our project. We don't do too much in here in basic drafting. You will look at it more so when we look at structural drafting and MEP or building services drafting. So add-ins, you can do timber framing layouts, bracing details, everything else in Revit, but you need to have that add-in software for it. So don't worry about this, we don't use it at all in basic drafting, so nothing to worry about. Modify tab, you'll pick these up as we start drawing. Same as CAD, move, copy, rotate, our trim or extend to corner. Alright, you keep going, keep looking. Scaling, so if you, the good thing with Revit is if you hover over one of them, so I like scale, what happens is it gives you a short little snippet of how it works. Alright, so this is how you scale. Alright, so it gives you a quick little snippet. Offset, align, mirror, all these kinds of things. Properties, we use these a lot. So in Revit we use a lot of the properties in the project browser for everything that we do. These properties here you're going to get sick of and really important to learn how to use it. So the properties at the moment is for the floor plan. I have a view scale, so when I change the scale I can change it here. If my floor plan is 1 to 200, I change it, then hit apply, and it alters everything in the drawing. If I want it back to 1 to 100, change it here. Scale is also down the bottom. I can change my scale here or I can customize it. Detailed levels, visibility, everything is in here. Alright. Don't worry too much about going through these right now. We will look at them as we draw. That will make more sense. Project browser, ground floor, level 1, site, true north, ceiling levels, alright, elevations, sections, schedules and families and sheets. We look at these a bit later on. Now, while we're here, just to let you know that Revit is a live model. What I change on my ground floor will reflect in my project browser, it will reflect on all other levels and elevations. So when we first start a model and we start drawing, what we want to do is we want to set our levels. So I've got a ground floor here. I want to come to any elevation, it doesn't matter which one, but what I can see is my level 1 is at 4,000. So I double click it, change this here to be 2,700, click out of it. So that drops this level. So my level 1 here in north is the same as level 1 in east, it's the same as level 1 in south. If I change it in one, it will change in all of them. The next thing I'm going to do is change this ground floor to be my finish floor level. So this is important. Alright, we start putting in our notations properly. Now just pay attention here in the project browser to the ground floor. If I click out of it, what happens is it goes, would you like to rename the corresponding views? Yes. So finish floor level, I now have my finished floor level, and it will change for all of my elevations. It's also changed for my ceiling plan. If I change this here to be my ceiling level, alright, ceiling level's changed, finished floor level's changed. So it's a live model, everything will change with it. So let's come back, I can close this, come back to my finished floor level. Now let's start with just a quick little drawing some walls, doors, windows, roof, and a floor. Alright, so architecture, draw a wall. So now that I'm drawing a wall, my properties change, and this is where we start to get into the nitty-gritties of Revit. So what I have is I have a modifier place, so I'm drawing the height of the wall, it's unconnected, and it's 8 meters high. So you need to set this first, you can set it later as well. So I will do both. I will draw one now at this level, and then I'll draw my others. So escape comes out of it, I can snap to the end after. But let's make it connected to my ceiling level. Alright, wall center line is fine, that's just where you're drawing from. Chain, alright, if chain's unticked, you can only draw one at a time. So I can draw one down here now, say 12,000, to come across to 16,000, come back up. Now, be aware that this does happen with Revit. Alright, there's no ortho for it. If you want ortho, hold shift on your keyboard, and you will go up, down, left, right. Snap to the end, escape twice, gets me out of it. Now, let's come back, let's click on our wall. The wall that I've drawn is a double brick wall. Alright, so let's select all of them. So selection is the same as AutoCAD. Alright, left to right, anything it touches will select. Left to right, anything it covers will select. Right to left, anything it touches will select. So these are all double brick walls. What I'm after is a brick veneer. So I want a 240 brick veneer. What I have is a 250 timber. So let's click on this one. Now in here, what I do is I edit type. This gets me into the properties of the wall. We duplicate. So just follow this along. This is explained a bit better next week when we start drawing our 2-story house. So I've duplicate, we always duplicate and go OK. The reason why we duplicate is we're building up our library. Now I edit the structure. So at the moment I'm drawing on a 240 timber wall. I edit the structure. In here I can change my wall thickness, so my masonry brick, my air filter, or my air infiltration barrier even, which is my thermal gap, and my timber stud. Timber stud's 90, 110 brick, and it's a 40mm gap. Let's go OK. I do have some analytical properties here, but these are not to worry about for now. Go OK. And this changes all of those walls to be what I wanted it to be. Okay. Now, remember this one's drawn at 8 meters. These are at 2.7. This we can worry about later. What you can see is these are solid. If I want to see the actual details, change my detail level to fine, and I can see now the hatching for the brick, where my timber stud is, and where my gap is as well. To draw in my internal walls, we then do our stud timber. I can draw in here straight away. So if I move to the center line, it will snap from the center line. If I move just the mouse to the edge, the highlighted blue is where it's snapping to. So we can see is this is measuring 3800 from the internal of that wall. If I want it to be 3200, just type it in, enter, can move straight down. Mostly drawing at the center line of the wall. So it's not quite 3200. The internal measurement there is going to be 3200 subtract the width of that, half the width of the stud, so subtract 45. So let's come down 3600 and let's snap back to here. Now Revit trims automatically for you. Alright, let's come in with some more walls. Let's put another one here somewhere. So from this corner here, tab is really useful. So the tab key shifts the reference line or what you're trying to select, and you'll use that a fair bit as we progress. So let's come through and go 3500. Let's come down another 4 meters to here. Let's just put in some random internal walls as well. So these obviously line up. Let's come up 3600. Let's check another one here at the midpoint. They line up. These dotted lines show that they line up. And these ones here will line up. Alright, a couple of random walls in there too. Let's put in some doors. So door. These are the preloaded doors in Revit. Alright, we do load family and bring in other ones after. But for now, let's just start with these. So external door. Alright, you can see these measurements that I'm getting. Let's put one here. Let's then put in some internal doors. Don't worry too much about the measurements for now. We can worry about them next week. Now to flip that door the other way around, spacebar will do it for me. Okay, if I want to alter that where the door is, I can click on it. I get a couple of reference points where they're measured from. If I want to change one, I can make it 1800 and it will shift the door for me. Okay, things that we'll use over and over and over again, so don't worry too much about it for now. Let's put in some windows. Window. I've only got fixed windows loaded in at the moment, so down the track we'll load in some sliding windows, but for now let's just chuck these in. Let's put one here. What you'll notice is Revit is pretty kind and will generally center for you quite easily. Let's put another one, say here, and another one here. Alright, just some random windows going in. Alright, so doors, windows, walls. Measuring's pretty straightforward. We look at that down the track, but annotate aligned. If I can't grab it, tab, 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 and tab, and that's how we measure. Okay, for now, not crucial, but just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, so what we need to do is put in a roof. So architecture roof. Now, we just need to remember that what we're modeling and where we're drawing is we've got X, we've got Y, and now we've got Z. We're drawing in 3D. So we have the extra dimension sitting there. All right, so Z, as you can imagine, is coming towards me out of the page. What I need to do is I'm going to draw a roof, but I'm on a finished floor level. Now, Revit's pretty cluey. If I go roof, it tells me, it goes, hey, numbnuts, what are you doing? All right, you're on the ground floor level. All right, you can't put a roof on top of the floor. All right, doesn't make sense. So let's bring it up to the ceiling level. All right, so you've created a roof on the lowest level. Would you like to move it? Yes, I would. Let's bring it up. Let's go, okay. Bring it to the ceiling level. And now in here, I've got a different selection status. I can either draw lines, draw a rectangle, pick lines, or pick a wall. So usually we'll use pick wall or pick lines in Revit. It makes our life a lot easier. So define slope, yes, 450 for the eave overhang. Let's change it to a generic 125 mil roof. In here I've got the properties of the roof, alright, which helps. So you can change anything in here that you need to. For now it's okay. Let's just pick the walls that we want. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's where my roof obviously sits. Now here, this cross or tick is going to be the depth of view. So if I go to architecture or any other tab, I cannot pick anything else. It's going to annoy you again and again and again. Unless you either discard it or finish it, it will not let you do anything else with a roof or a floor boundary. So I click the tick. Alright, let's go no for now. Alright, what this is saying is, hey, this one was 8 meters high, it's sitting through it, do you want us to cut it for you? Let's go no, because this is what's going to happen in your drawings. I can see it already, it's happened time and time again. So I've drawn in a roof. We can't see it here. The reason why we can't see it is I'm looking at the finished floor level. If I go to my ceiling level, alright, this is where the start of the roof is. I'll show you, let's show you now how to fix this up. What we can do is to see where the roof sits. At the moment my camera is cutting at this point. What I do is I shift in the ceiling level. I'm shifting the view range. So edit. Alright, you can change these cut levels and offsets. Alright, let's go 3000, see what happens. Apply, nothing really happened. Let's change the cut plane to 6000. Oh, sorry, other way around, 6000 and 3000. Just shifts the whole camera up. Still not high enough. Let's shift this to 1000. Cutting too much. Alright, so as you can imagine, what it's doing is, if I look at those numbers, just for the example by the way, we do go through it properly in a few weeks time. At the moment, my camera looking from on top is cutting at about this level. Alright, so if I draw a line, let's come through, annotate. This is the level here that my camera is sitting at. So my camera looks at this level down, so I don't see the top of the roof. That's why we get that square look. Alright, so all I've done is basically shifted the camera to sit up here somewhere and look down at the top of the roof. So that's why I now get my roof layout looking like this, which is what we'd expect. When we did our roof layouts on CAD, if you would do the same, this is what you'd expect to see. Alright, but again, we go through this in more depth when we look at it. So let's close this, back to our finished floor level. Let's put in a floor. So architecture floor. Let's pick lines this time, and let's make sure we pick the outside lines of our brick, because that's where our slab is going to sit. Click the tick. I now have a floor. Now, it doesn't really look like too much for now. Let's come to our 3D. So click the house or view 3D. This is what I have. Now this wall is a 8 meter high wall that we drew earlier. So to change it, now that it's done, I select it. I can now connect it in here to my ceiling level, and it will drop it down for me straight away. So if you made a mistake before, you can adjust it now. There's no drama in that. So this is the house. Alright, the roof is very steep. So let's click on the roof. Let's change it from 30 degrees to 22.5. Apply. Change my detail level here. I can make it consistent. I can make it realistic, which makes it look like proper brick. Alright, nice brown ugly brick. Nice timber architraves around the windows. Hidden line or even wireframe. It's up to you. Usually we'll use hidden line. Very rarely do we show anything in wireframe, but you can see through the entirety of the house. So consistent colors, have a roof, I have some windows that I can see through in here, and I have a floor underneath. So this is one way to redraw our house. Alright. To explain this orbiting wheel, click on it. Alright, I can zoom, so click on zoom back and forth with the mouse. You can do that. The orbit, click and hold, and it will spin around. Now pivots around that green pivot point there. If I want to shift that to the center point, hold center, bring the pivot to where you want it to go, so to the center of the roof there, release the mouse. You can now spin around from that point. Pan lets me move back and forth, up and down, so click and hold and move your mouse. Alright, rewind lets me come back a few steps before. You can also spin it around with the cube up here. Alright, you can click on the cube, you can hold and drag the cube, it's up to you, different ways to go about it. Have a play with it and see what you find best. So like I said, this is one way to draw our 3D model, or to present it, or to start it. Alright, now the other way to do it and which is going to be the case for most of us, is we've already drawn our floor plan in CAD. So we can start redrawing it like this, which is fine. Let's just move this to the side for now. Let's delete this cross section. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our CAD file now. Now, to bring in the CAD file, what you need to do, and what I would recommend doing, is wherever you've worked on it, if you've worked on it in our template file, select just the floor plan, Control C, copy it, start a new drawing, Control V, paste it back into a AutoCAD file near the origin. So like I have here, I've got my X and Y on a new drawing, and I just have the floor plan sitting in here. Alright, paste it into one of these, save it. This is going to save you a lot of time messing around with Revit, because what will happen is you'll import it into Revit, you have a lot of other things in your drawing, and it's going to end up being 33 kilometers away from the origin. So do this, it's going to save you a lot of time. So save it. Alright, this is what I'm going to bring in. I'm going to bring in this CAD file. Back into Revit, insert, link CAD. This is my drawing. Alright, I can either preserve the colors, I can make it black and white. Let's preserve them, I don't mind the purple, it's okay. I'm going to bring it in auto origin to origin. Place it at the finished floor level. I'm going to import my units at a 1:1 scale, alright, or a 1:1 unit import. The reason for that is I've already drawn in at 1:100, otherwise I have to rescale it when I bring it back in. Go open, and this is my next drawing here. Now if I click on it, it's pinned, so I can't move it, I can't do anything with it. I can unpin it, and I can move it where I want it to go. So I'll just move it roughly here, and I'll repin it. Now, this is how I would assume most of you will perform your practical 2. That's how I would do it as well. Bring it in, and just trace over the top of it. Now let's just check, so let's just measure between, go away, between here and here. Alright, it's 240, so I'm in scale, which is nice. Alright, now let's draw the walls in. So architecture, wall. Let's bring back our external wall. The other thing to note, by the way, is when we duplicate, I now have this wall here, and I have my other one. So we just create and build this library up as we go. So let's change drawing in this wall again. So for more centerline, let's go with our finished face exterior. So my exterior face, from here to here, down, down, and then back to here. So these are my exterior walls that are in. Let's come again and let's do the internal walls. Wall, stud timber. Alright. Drawing with the external face, this one here. If I draw with the internal face, I just have to change position that I'm drawing from. Alright, being a stud wall, it's the same both ways. So this one here, I can draw with the wall centerline if I want to. So the wall centerline, see those dotted lines? These dotted lines here are right in the middle, so it's the intersection, the dotted lines running down. Alright, that's the wall centerline. So these walls here will line up. Now what we're finding is Revit is snapping to the CAD file. Alright, makes our life a lot easier. Again, it trims automatically for us. If you put the brick the wrong way around, so if this brick's facing in the internal side here, you just flip the wall around using this button here. Okay, so these are in. Let's do our roof again to the ceiling level. One here, 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 and here. Let's click the green tick. Our roof's in. Architecture, door. Let's draw some doors. So internal, internal. Don't need any there. We'll need an external one. Let's draw another one, say here. Again, this door's the wrong way around. Spacebar will flip it also. Window, let's put in some fixed windows. So one here, here, so one there. Be nice. Let's put one there, put one there. So just putting in some windows. On the actual CAD drawing, there will be some windows somewhere. Alright. Which we can find, but we can worry about that a bit later on. And that's a solid wall there. Cool. Alright. What am I looking for now, Nathan? The floor. Floor. Pick lines. Outside lines. Click the green tick. Alright. Now I've drawn with the CAD file, I can delete it. So unpin it, delete. Alright. Now you know the exact placement of your doors and windows from that CAD file. Internal ones, not to worry too much about. Alright, but obviously on my drawing I haven't got any internal doors showing. If you do, they will appear in Revit. So you can just click over the top of it. So I delete that CAD file out. Now let's come back to our 3D view, and I have another house sitting here. So it's both my houses side by side. Alright, so 2 ways to do it, 2 simple methods, exactly the same outcome. Alright, it's up to you how you want to do it, how you want to tackle it. My elevations will line up. Alright, elevations we can move, and we'll look at this when we do our 2-story house. But yeah, alright, so 2 different ways to go about it, same outcome. So good luck, all the best, and I will see you guys next week for the next recording. But yeah, so one we've drawn by scratch, other I've imported in and traced over, and they rock out with the same thing. Alright, thank you all and enjoy. Any questions, please send me an email.